I am RanDee Camille, and this is R.I.M.S.
Hi, friends, and welcome to my very first episode of R.I.M.S. Real Iconic Moves Make Success. I'm so excited about the first guest that I have on my show. I talk about all the time how sports have allowed me to not only make friends, but make friends with people who I really call family now. And that's why I'm so excited to have two people here that mean the world to me. We got LaKita Gantz, and we got her son, Robert. I don't know if we go Robert. What's today?
Definitely moving away from Lil Rob. How about that?
Right. I tried to stay out and being a little myself. I still get called Little RanDee to this day. So that's how it goes. That's why I'm like, we going with that. And today we just are going to talk about some of the really dope things that they got going on as mother and son, which I think is so awesome. And also just talk about the lay of the land of sports today, being a sports mom, being a kid that's coming up through sports in high school right now. And of course, we're in some really different and trying times with the pandemic and everything. Is so much happening, but I feel like you guys have just been working hard as long as I've known you, which is literally ever. I hate to be that person, but I remember when Rob was really in your stomach.
Yes.
He was still
playing basketball games with you.
I'm like, you can't be playing and you got this baby. She's like, the doctor said I'm all right. So we don't and obviously she is fine. And
Thanks to heavens.
And we always want to deem our little baby Rob is bigger than all of us now, and just becoming a young man in his own, which we love and so awesome. So I really appreciate both of you for being here and taking the time. I know you're very busy in this basketball season, which is the craziest time, but to be able to kick off my show and my Women in Sports Wednesdays with you guys is really exciting for me, and it means a lot. And with that being said, one thing I really want to do every time I launch one of these on Wednesday is the brag bag. So I want y'all to get in your bag. Okay, brag about yourself. Tell a little bit about each of you, your journey through sports, what you got going on today. So take your time and brag on. Brag bag is yours.
So you want to brag on each other, or you want to do your own?
You can go first.
What? Whatever. Okay, so I brag on me then first.
There we go.
And it's funny that you're asking this question or saying for me to brag. I just put together. Well, I didn't put together. I reached out to a team, a marketing company, to help me start to brand myself in a more strategic way. So with that being said, the three things that we're focusing on is, number one, our clothing line, which is called Speak Volumes. We are both co-owners. Then we're focusing on our radio show. The radio show is also called Speak Volumes. But lastly, probably the most important piece is my first book, and Phenomenal Woman. I know that a lot of people remember and know about Phenomenal Woman on Facebook, and that's kind of where a lot of people became my fan of women things, right? I talked about a lot of things and rules, and not necessarily rules, but really lessons about women. So those three things are coming, or I should say, the clothing line is here. It's been here over a year, which is great. But I'm more concerned now with making sure I do everything that my hands are in, but strategically now. So, and that may sound crazy, but once I was in the meeting, the most ironic thing happened where while we were talking, everything that I want to do came out. And ultimately, I'm going to write my autobiography, but I just feel like it'll take the steps and the journeys of what I'm doing now to get to that point. So look for 90 days, maybe from now, we're going to have my first book, Phenomenal Women. And yes, that's our talk show. Today, we actually did our first episode.
Yes.
That was awesome and amazing. So that's my little small brag bag.
Okay. I love it. And before you go, Rob, I want to say that she gave you the real small version of her.
That's what I'm about to say. I was about to say the same thing.
And if somebody that I've known, I mean, at this point, Kita, we've had to been friends for.
Rob is 16. So, well, actually, 20, maybe 21 years.
Yep, easily 21 years.
I came home in 2000.
Yes. And I've seen her work with men's basketball teams, be a coach, be a mentor,
Oh yeah, I
train
did all that
women,
stuff.
Yeah, sure did.
start clothing lines, build programs to be able to help the youth around the city and things like that. So she definitely gave the small version, and maybe it's because she's writing this awesome book and she's going to have so much to tell about her journey, and even. And we'll get to it later a little bit, just how she even started playing basketball. I think is a great story because I've heard that's how she actually started playing basketball, because people like to think that most athletes who were good and they grew up through it, which you can, but sometimes you walk into it. So everybody just have to. I want to say she was real polite in her breath. Add the extra.
I guess that's probably because that's right on the floor right now. So
exactly, because that's what's in the forefront of your mind. So I think I'll just bring that up myself before Rob went ahead and his brand bag.
My backpack don't even consist of a lot, honestly, but the one is that I'm her son. That's number one.
Thank you, baby.
That's a brag, definitely. I was born into the game, thankfully. Basketball has been a love and a passion of mine since I was literally born.
Literally.
So, like, basketball is a very big brag for me. Just like this past year and a half, I've really gotten into fashion. So I'm a model now.
Amen.
I'm working towards being a fashion designer and just, learning different things about fashion, things that I have a passion for, And also, I might write a book. I will write a book. I just don't know when.
Into action, you will write a book.
I just don't know when yet. We're going to figure that out. We're going to figure that one out. And of course, my clothing line. Think about branching out more with it, getting different aspects, getting different size to it. Just bringing in different ways to show me and myself. I'm a pretty fun person, I might look like a killer on the court, but I'm a really nice guy.
People used to say that about me all the time that knew me outside of basketball, like always fun, laughing, bubbly, and they'll come see me play and be like, "What the hell?" And I'm like, I'm a different beast on the court. Like,
you sure are.
I love, I'm all that, but when I lace up, it's like it's
on and popping. Show where we from.
Where we from. And I think is really dope that you're in a position now to start thinking about things that you can do that along with you going through basketball, and you can obviously do well after basketball. I think that's something that a lot of people don't instill in their children, in their athletes and things like that, because unfortunately basketball doesn't last forever. I don't care if you are, LeBron, Kobe, Jordan, like it's going to be a time you're going to have to stop playing basketball, right?
Exactly.
And for the most part, majority of the people of the world aren't the best ever to play in the world. So what are you going to do if high school's your last stop, if college is your last stop? Like, what are you going to do next? And I really think that's important, but that's also from your upbringing, that having that understanding and things that we all went through as athletes. So it's really kind of have perspective, because you can change and do whatever you want to over time, but to at least look at something and say, hey, this is what I'm gonna work towards so I can do it while I'm playing, and when it's over I can still play. So I think that's really awesome. So going off of that, let's talk a little bit about the show. I had brought it up earlier. You guys had your first episode today, which features Rob's dad.
Yes.
Rob Senior, which I also went to high school with him, talking about life.
Right.
Talk about how this show came about, what inspired you guys to do it, and what we can look forward to with the show.
So I have been asking Robert for 2 years, right? So he's 16 now. So I have been asking him for 2 years, we should do a YouTube channel. We should do this. We should do that. He was really thinking about blogging and all type of stuff. But he just wasn't ready. Over a year and a half ago, we did, is it 2 years ago? We did our podcast with the moms. Mm-hmm. And even then I was trying to get Robert to maybe come on some shows and, but really pushing him to have a voice in the first place. And I mean, we talked about that today on our first show, which it was so ironic hearing the story of his father and how his mother pushed him And then for me to kind of always talk to Rob about what you can do while you're going through this journey of basketball so that when it's over, you have something. And so we look at this talk show as a form of us starting something for him media wise, right? If he continues this journey and this show goes on for the next 4 or 5 years while he's in college, for example, and we don't know how good he's going to be, but using this as a platform so that when college is over, if basketball isn't right away, or if professional basketball isn't in the making, guess what? We have another outlet for you. And that is strategically something that I've tried to plan for him, because I've seen athletes not have anything after. Right. I've seen athletes turn to, I don't know if I can curse, but
you can.
So I've seen athletes go from sugar to shit in terms of confidence and believing in themselves and understanding that they are worth more than just playing basketball. And I never wanted that for my child. Every athlete is an injury away from it being over. Quick. So I just wanted to, just help him understand about doing more than just this sport. And I think when you actually teach young people this, they become a better athletes, because they have to lead, then they have to, be strategic, and they use the skills you're teaching them to actually help their peers. So that's the beauty of it. When I think about what I teach him, I think he uses it as well with his peers.
Yep. And it was so important. I know my parents really pushed that for me. And even though, I was good, I had these opportunities, I played overseas, whatever is the case, they always were like, okay, well, let's just think about what's next. Well, what can you do? Let's hone in on some of your other talents. Let's put you in front of these people. Let's go speak in front of these people. Let's do these other things where at the time when I was younger, I didn't have that same wherewithal that Rob has now to think like, oh, there's something after basketball, right? It was just basketball. Right. But my parents put me in position. So then when I'm now in position where I'm saying I want to retire, I didn't have fear. I didn't fail miserably. I mean, I've had failures in life, so I won't act like I never, have failures, but I didn't fail miserably because I always knew from my parents that it's so important to still have that push, still have that understanding. And sometimes it's a little heartbreaking when you see parents really just pushing their kids in the sport. And sorry to some of you guys, your kid's not even that good.
Yes, and that's the truth. And I think that's it. Like,
I'm glad you said the truth, because if you look at kids now and you look at them when they was when we were younger and we were all playing, we were all good. Everybody was telling us that we were good.
The team.
And nobody told us the truth.
Yeah.
But the people that told their kids the truth and they got in the gym and they got better, they're the top players in the state right now. Everybody that was told they were good from since they were younger, they had a decline since they were in 5th grade. And it's just if you're not honest with yourself about your abilities or what you need to do better, and you can't really take criticism or better yourself, then basketball really is the game for you.
Yeah,
or
any sport.
Yep, any sport. And I with refereeing, I see some of these kids, right? If I do AAU tournaments and stuff like that, you see them from 10 years old, for example, right? And then now I'm refereeing their games in high school. And like you said, this was supposed to be, it drives me insane when people are like, I got the top 2nd grader in the nation. I'm like,
that's right. Like 2nd grade?
Second, do you know how many times this boy's body is going to change before you even get to high school? But
exactly,
it's just important to have honest people around them. It starts with parents, obviously, but coaches, mentors, and everything like that. So that kind of leads me into talking about, because you talked about the preparing and getting in the gym. I know you've been doing a lot, working out. So I want to talk about some of that as well.
Shoot, you can go first.
I feel like, so I was a young lady, again, who I didn't play basketball all like everybody else at a young age, right? So I had to learn work ethic really fast because I didn't start playing basketball till 9th grade. And I think just my characteristics of working hard is one of the things that I wanted to instill in Robert, whether it was sports or academics. And or life, right? And the best part about him playing his sports that he loves so dearly is that I never played games with him academically. If you wanted to play, you're gonna have to get these grades. And I stood firm on that. A lot of parents don't. A lot of parents really have this idea that my kid can go to the NBA, so I don't want to hurt our relationship or make the kid turn against me because I didn't, hold them accountable. But the holding accountable piece is the most important way for them to even get to maybe playing a professional sport, right? So I never wanted that for my child. I wanted him to have a work ethic. I wanted him to understand it. And I wanted him to know that if you really love this game, like you say you love it, then you have to love the work. You have to love the process of working, because at the end all be all, where he's trying to get to, there's no game in this. And he does understand it's a business.
Yes.
Whether you believe it or not, it's a business in high school, it's a business in college, and it's most definitely a business if you make it to the pros.
Yes.
So we work out a lot. I think the beauty of it is I feel like I work out because I want him to see I can do it.
Right.
If I can do it, I know you can. And that's how we started his 8th grade year. His 8th grade year is when we actually started lifting weights and getting into different programs in the gyms and stuff. And I just said, and I've always been a workout person, but after you had kids, you like, sometimes you work out, sometimes you don't. But when I wanted to make him take it seriously, I said, you know what? I'm going to do it with him. And so for the last 4 years, we have done this really together. And I'd be tired, but I just know that I can't ask him to do something that I'm not willing to do. And I know all parents can't do that. I'm an athlete, so I feel like, I'm still in that mode, and I'm able to do that. But the other piece is I'm there too. When I'm not working out, I'm there, and I got the video camera out, and I'm telling him different things after the workout's over. If he did push himself, if he didn't, and when he does well, I give him kudos, but we're always talking about the next level. And I think we talk about the next level, not just for basketball, but in life. It's the same thing you said, like what's next? What's next? A lot of people, they want something, but they'll settle for this. And they stop like dreaming or stop making goals. Yeah, we got to go. If you know me, 20 years, I done had go. We're going to do this. We're going to do this.
And I'm no different. So I
Exactly. And I think it also comes from being an athlete too, to a certain degree.
It sure does. Because like, prime example, like points wise, you could score 40 one game and then you just think you just the itch. Right. And after that, you don't do nothing else for the rest of the season because you're so stuck on you scoring 40 points that one game.
Yeah. Right. And going to that accountability piece is so major. And I have never heard that perspective. And that is very interesting to hear the piece that's, I don't want to push my kid to this limit, or I don't want to do that because if they do make it, what if they cut me off? Or what if they don't do this or whatever? And it made me of an interview. And I heard an interview, and I can't remember what NBA player I was watching, but he was saying that people go in so much depending on their child's success to be like whatever they're going to get, right? Instead of focusing more on how can I be all of this greatness for myself. So then if my child does become an NBA player, it's not even that I really need his money or buy me a house or whatever. If my child does that, then, great, but I'm fine.
It's so funny that you said that, because I always tell him, if you do make it, I don't want no house. Pay off my student loans.
Okay, like pay off the stuff that
I don't want no house. I'm good on a house.
It was an interesting perspective, and that ties into what you're saying with that part about it, and not wanting to hold their kids accountable. And I hear it often officiating, or when I see kids train and stuff like that, and they're like, oh, well, she just can't do that, or he can, or I think that, this person is pushing them too hard, or this is this situation. And I'm like,
and I look for people to push him hard. Yeah.
Yes.
I purposely look for people to push him hard.
I can't function without somebody pushing. I don't know. Like, it's just weird, because she pushed me in my whole life. And it's just like, if I don't have like guidance somewhere, or someone like being there pushing me, I feel weird. I'm always going to push myself, of course, but then like that little extra nudge when she's not there is always great.
Yeah, so like this weekend, I missed 1.5 games.
Sure did. She sure did.
However,
half games.
I was like, now before I would have. So in the beginning of the season, when his school didn't have games, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to miss a game because Farmington wasn't letting parents in.
Oh,
so the first one was so tough for me. It was so tough for me. And I emailed the district, like, let me tell y'all something. I'm sitting here watching my child. It is sad.
I was like, this is unacceptable. Wow.
Yes. And I worked really hard with other parents to try to get them to change it. So they finally changed it. But fast forward, I planned an out of town trip. Didn't know that he played on Saturday based on, I think, unorganization. Okay. So I didn't know he played. And I just was like, you know, and one of my college kids that I coached at Eastern, he said, you are at every last one of his games. He said, he knows that you're gonna be there in spirit. He's like, you don't have to be there. Like I'm contemplating like, oh, should I change my flight? Right. You know, should I not go? But watching him on TV yesterday in my room, and I was just like, you know, he has it. He's got it. He's okay. So because there will be games in college that I won't be able to make, right? Yep. And I feel like I've put in enough with him that he's going to be able to go anywhere and just, you know, flourish because he has taken the accountability, responsibility, versatility, all these things, and he's made it into, you know, this is what I want to do. And that's the other piece. A lot of athletes, they like basketball.
They like it. They
like their sport.
They like what they could.
Or they like having fun.
Yeah. No, say it again.
They like what they can get from it. They don't really like the time.
Yeah. So when he says that, I specifically think about IG highlights,
Instagram followers, rankings, money, rankings.
Yeah. Yeah. He really, if the whole world shut down and he just had a basketball R.I.M.M. and a basketball, and when I say, I'm not even talking about pandemic, I'm just saying like he had nothing but that, he still would play basketball.
Sure would.
He still would practice.
Old in them kids when everything shut down, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Who kept training, you know, that was working out outside, that was on a outside rim if they could, like whatever, versus the kids doing nothing. I have a good friend who coaches at a NAIA school in outside of Chicago, and he asked me to train his kids over Zoom. Nice. And so he said, okay, I'm gonna come on. And he said, I'm gonna do the workout with him, but I'm really gonna watch. It's gonna tell me who been working out, who hasn't. Those boys, young men, were dying. You hear me? I mean, a couple had threw up, and I'm looking like, oh, so y'all nothing. So if you think about college guys, these high school kids are doing nothing, but it's showing now when they will say, okay, we about to play games. And then they get there and it's like, oh, you haven't been doing anything. Got it. No,
and that's where you know whether or not you love it, right?
Every day.
Yeah. And
30 degrees.
What we do, I said, you know what? We're going to do a vision board and we're going to put together your plan. And guess what? This is what you're going to do every day. JJ said, that's my favorite thing. JJ said, if you want to be a pro, these are the things. And so as a parent, if I had to give any advice, I would always say, look for people who have been where you want your children to go.
Yes.
And use those people to help you in that journey of getting your child there. You know, it just can't be anybody.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a big thing right now. Anybody can't give us something they never done or never been through, you know?
Everybody got an AAU team now.
Everybody has an AAU team. Everybody has a program. Everybody is a trainer. Everybody is everybody just kind of fall into these lines. And even sometimes, and I get it, it's a lot of grind between in being a high school coach. It's not easy. And I respect the men and women that do that because they're not getting paid. It's a thankless job. I think from a referee standpoint, that's a thankless job as well.
Yes.
Especially at the lower levels. But at the same time, it's like I sometimes hear people coaching and I want to pull my hair out because the things that they say, I'm like, you know nothing. And you are responsible for these 12 and 15, kids or whatever. But I gave the prefix because I know it's not easy to find people to commit to that and to do those things, especially at certain programs. But those coaches who are different, who understand, who put in the work with their kids, who really put in the work to understand basketball, you always see the difference in their programs, right?
Exactly.
It's not going to be winning the championship every year, but you do see difference in their program, their caliber of kids, how the kids respond to them, how the parents respond to them. It really makes a difference.
It does. It makes a difference that I feel like whether you get paid or not, I feel like if you're going to do it, you need to make sure that you're educating yourself to be the best for these children or these players. That's what I think. And I stand firm on that. And I stand firm on that because my the first coach, which is Don Parker, at Mumford High School, hired me as his assistant boys coach, right? Don Parker was a math teacher. He knew nothing about basketball. He just loved the game. But when I tell you, for my first 2 years with Don Parker, we spent nights on the telephone. I don't care if he read a book or not. He spent nights and days researching, asking questions, getting people, in his space to help him learn more for the, but more so for the students, for that players, right? He wanted them, he wanted to be able to give them something without just being this guy who got the job because he was in the building, right? And I think that was a testament to what he wanted for his student athletes, and just reaching out to people that can help you is really big for coaches. I think
it's really big. It's really big. And that kind of takes me into, I know that there has been some things that you've been doing for parents as far as educating them about the different things. And you say when you go through life, you be like, man, if I knew then what I know now,
I know, right?
Some things would have been different. And I really think that the parents have opportunity now to know so much because of social media and stuff like that, to get the right information, right? Not the wrong information on how you can get your kid in school, what are the different programs to maybe get them, how you can get them recruited, all that other stuff. So talk a little bit about what you were doing with that when you were trying to get, the parents in the same room and talk to them about what they can help with their student athlete.
So myself and about 8 other moms started a platform. We started a podcast to basically educate sports parents on what we are going through currently. So we use the podcast a lot to start that avenue. Because of my experience at high school coaching, I've coached high school, I've coached junior college, and I've coached Division I men's basketball. So with my experience, I feel like now, since I got to that Division I level, so much that I know that no one will ever know. You know what I mean? You will never know unless you've been there, or someone who's been there can tell you. And so I wanted to use that platform as an avenue to help other parents. And that is my student athlete and parent consulting agency or business. And it's just really helping people and guiding. I mean, actually, I went out of town this weekend to meet with a father and a daughter. She's a sophomore. She's really, really good. And even in our conversations, just me expressing, you need to ask these questions. You need to make sure you talk to the student athletes. You want to make sure you get all of these things out before you decide this is the place where I want to be, because they're going to put the bright lights on and they're going to, bring out the confetti and everything on your first visit. Yeah, they're going to do that. But you want to know internally how this program is going to help you grow. And you have the right to ask these questions, because most athletes go to college. And I know it may have been like this for you because you went to a big school, UNLV, right? Where the student athletes are afraid to even talk to the head coach.
Yes.
And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. How am I afraid to speak to my head coach? That should never be the environment.
I remember feeling some type of way about a situation with my head coach, and I'm calling my daddy, and I'm talking to him and my parent. And he was like, "Go talk to her." I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was just like, "Go in her office. Everything you just told me, tell her and see what she says." And I'm like, all right. So I went in there, and where I'm thinking I was going to get pushback, she was going to be like, "Get out of my office." A whole conversation happened all this dialogue. I had a new understanding of how she operated, how she functioned as a person, what she expected of me, what I was expecting of her, how she can help me. And something that small that if I didn't ask my dad, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
My mom reinforced it like, yes, you need to go talk to her. I would have just kept going and just been, pissed and no telling how that would have affected my plan and stuff like that. And so those small things really matter. Like, this person wanted you on their team. You can go have a damn conversation with them.
And so with that being said, think about if athletes have that conversation before they even commit to going to a school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
Yes.
the conversation that you need to have with the people who say they want you before you even commit, because now you come in and they know that you care enough to ask these questions. So I can't play you. And I'm not saying that majority of coaches do that, but they need the athletes who can advocate for themselves so that they can also grow as coaches.
Yes.
Right. You know what I mean?
You can have a great relationship with your coach, even after basketball. Like some of my coaches I talk to, but still understand it's a business.
Hey, their job, like I told the little girl, their job is to keep their job. Always remember that.
Yep. And your job as an athlete is to get your education, whatever you can out of that school, because they're going to get whatever they can and need out of you. And you out of there with your connections, your degree, your like all of that stuff, whatever you can get, the people that you can, make relationships with outside of just because you got the school name, because, those alumni will come sprinting towards athletes that didn't even play for it. They'll just be like, oh, you went there? Okay, well, I'll help you with that. Get everything out of it because they're going to get everything out of you, essentially.
Yes.
That's just really important for athletes to know and hear. And like you said, for them to ask those questions before you commit and sign and land on campus. So that's big. But and with commit and sign, do we got any inside news for Rob? Wait.
I wish we did, man.
And okay, we don't patiently wait. Okay.
Wait. And it's funny because I really think about how if the pandemic did not, come through, we would actually know probably by now where he would be going.
Yes.
Because I was one day, I was like, we going to commit before senior year because we need to, just play. That's it. But right now I feel like there's so many changes, whether it's the transfer rule now that allow students to be recruited that are older, and older is better in college for coaches. Yes. The older the player, the better for them because they have more experience and their bodies are in a different kind of shape. So that's one thing. Then all the student athletes having the right to actually stay another year. And so it pushes some things back for especially 21s and maybe even 22s for Rob, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. We are in conversations regularly with different schools. We do have a lot of mid-majors, a couple ACC schools. And I think once ACC schools started calling, I feel like we really believed then, like, okay, you're really higher level now in terms of one of your skill sets. So I won't say, oh, he's a North Carolina guy. No, he's not. We are real around here. But his skill set, which is one of the best things he can do, is shoot the ball. And that's what the whole basketball world is about now. That skill set puts him on a platform where he can maybe play at one of those ACC schools. So now we're looking to make sure we keep on working on that skill set that's, going to make him that money, but also enhance all of his other things.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm really excited to see how all of that is going. And again, I'm going to just pop up you guys' show here just so that you can also tune in, because you'll be able to get all of this great information and be able to talk to a student athlete that's currently going through it. I think sometimes that when you hear it from your peers, it's always great, because when you hear it from people that are older, the parents, the mamas, the daddies, the coaches, sometimes as an athlete, you like, oh, here they go again. But you can hear, through your peers and their experiences that are relatable and get some answers and understanding on things. I really think that that's important, and it really makes it awesome. So
that's funny because I just asked him. I just said, you need to bring on some of your boys, get them on your show. and help them to, navigate things that are going to be helpful to other peers, pretty much.
And something as simple as talking, right?
Just having a conversation.
And we watch basketball games all day, every day, college, high school, NBA, all that. And some of these men and women get on TV and they are doing post-game interviews like, oh yeah, it was great.
And
yeah.
That's funny because that was probably my number one thought process as he was growing up, even though I've always it was like, I don't want you in front of the cameras and you don't know what to say. So I think he'll be way past knowing what to say. They're going to love him.
Exactly. Like they're going to be like, okay, we need him for the interview real quick. So we can make it happen. But that's some of the experience I had in college, though. I was like the one on my team, if you don't want to say, but at the same time, my coach was like, well, I know I can send RanDee. She's not going to say nothing crazy. Everything going to be fine. They can get the answers out of her and go.
Right.
So it is important to give the kids a platform where they can articulate their words, their feelings, their thoughts, because how can you have a conversation with a coach, your parents, your friends, whatever, if you can't even articulate about something that you love, right?
Mm-hmm.
To be able to at least articulate about basketball. Now that's going to be really good. And I'll be tuned in to the show. And I really appreciate you guys.
No, we appreciate you.
Yes. I love you both.
Love you too.
Love you too.
Now that some of my refereeing is slowing down, Rob, I can go snatch your schedule and come to some games and they're yelling and all that good stuff. So
I can't wait to get the fans back in the stands. But
I know, so hopefully next season. But
all the games where we've had fans, he just thrives off fans. Like, it's just crazy. He talking stuff, and I'm like, yeah, Rob, that's your mama.
You know what I'm saying? Well, good. So we will connect again and talk more. I want it to be a thing where we can always come back and revisit. And
for sure,
this conversation brings on more conversation and question that we can come back and discuss with people and maybe go live or where we can answer some questions that people have. So I encourage everybody to reach out and ask questions, follow them. I put up their information throughout the show so that you can go and see what they got going on, because it's just phenomenal things on all ends. So I want you to really go and be a part of their development, support, like we support each other. And we've been supporting each other for many, many years now. This is nothing.
Years. And I'm proud of you too. Always growing. It's funny because I look at everybody and I say, wow, like I look at your dad and your sister and your mom and your brother. And it's less like, it's called, I think, more so like the Black family pushing our kids to be more than just what society deems we are supposed to be.
Yes.
And that is beautiful in that aspect, to see everybody grow. Like, I can't believe your little brother was little when I met you.
Like he was the little one following behind all of my.
Yes, he was like little, and now he's grown, married, baby. I'm like, wow.
Like about to have another one. So I'm about to have
my gosh,
nephew,
Auntie RanDee.
Auntie RanDee. Everybody know I'm Auntie RanDee. I don't have no kids, but I got plenty of nieces and nephews.
Exactly.
Actual that I love so much, including. So this is great, man. We will definitely catch up more and just continue success and growth. And
thank you so much.
All see each other at the top.
Hey, yes, you will.
All right. Love you guys. Till next time.
All righty. Thank you.
I am RanDee Camille, and this is R.I.M.M.S.